What's going on, guys? It's Adam from Spirit Systems, and today we're going to be talking about another important part of night combat, which is signaling, low light signaling, whatever you want to call it. But you have to have tools to do this, and it's a little different at night because obviously we can't see, so we have trouble differentiating friend from foe. So we have a ton of tools that we can use. We sell quite a few of them. If you want to get them from us, you can also use similar tools sold by other places, and that would work fine too. I like to separate all of the tools into a couple of different categories. We have things that take batteries and we have things that don't. So there's kind of two broad categories there. And then we have stuff that is passive and stuff that is active. So active is something that is creating some kind of light source or a signal that it's sending it out. It can be received by the viewer. And passive is something that you normally have to engage with in some way, or it has to be charged in some way. Think like IR patches, things like that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that, no batteries kind of segment, no power, and in that passive category. So we have kind of a classic or a staple, which is just your identifier patches and things like that. I got a couple of different flags here. They come in different styles, different sizes. This one is something that you would shine a white light at or an IR light, and it's going to definitely reflect back at you. But without any kind of interaction, it's just going to kind of be on your arm, and it's not really going to show any light. It's going to be kind of blend in with your uniform. This one is an IR only, so it's going to reflect kind of IR light. It's not really going to reflect just like a flashlight or something like that, or visible spectrum light like this would, right? So they definitely have different uses. I've used both of them. Definitely consider that when you're trying to select them. And then I have just an identifier patch, and everybody's probably seen these on the arms of guys who have deployed or whatever. I think a lot of uniformed police are starting to use call sign patches. It's just a way to be able to see somebody and to identify who they are, what position they are on a big operation. This one I like because it has two options. It has a IR only side, and then it has also a glow side. So you can kind of select which one you want to use for the appropriate operation. First Spear actually makes a really cool one, and it has both on one side. So it has an IR, backer, and then there's an offset glow factor to it. All of these are used to help friendly forces identify you. All of this stuff should really be driven by some sort of SOP. Everything that I'm going to be talking about in the video is techniques that you can use. The colors, the styles, how you position stuff, that's up to you. With night combat, everything should be confusing to anyone else, right? Only your team, your element, your organization should know the techniques that you're going to be using, the colors that you're going to be using. That should all be very close hold, very secretive. You should never give that information out. You can even swap up your training color palettes and stuff versus your actual mission color palettes, just so that no one ever has access to that information. So passive stuff, we showed the patches. There's also things like these little LumiMod beads, and they can be used as a passive signaling thing. They can also be used for a lot of other things. You can use them to mark pouches, you can use them to mark equipment, you can use them to mark things that you want people to notice, or things that have been cleared, stuff like that. They're just a simple bead. It can be, you can put a ton of them on a thing. You can put them on zipper pulls. Again, it's very passive, right? You have to charge it, but they will glow enough to last you pretty much all night, especially when you have adjusted to nighttime. They're gonna be very dim, which is what you want. If anybody is older, you'll remember helmets having the cat eyes on the back of your helmet so the guy behind you could follow you in the night. It's kind of the same idea with these. We do sell these on the website if you want to pick them up. Very simple tool, very useful. A note on that, I see a lot of guys get a little overzealous with them, and you'll see, they'll have 30 beads on their equipment. Just, one is probably plenty for a very important pouch, maybe some mission essential equipment or something. You need to be able to access it quickly. One of those beads is probably plenty for that. You don't want to charge it up too much because then you'll be glowing on the objective. So usually just natural sunlight will keep this thing charged up just fine. So again, these particular tools, the IR patches, the glow stuff, it requires some kind of light source to either hit it or energize it, but it's great because it's just there all the time, no batteries required, and they really do work. The downside to this kind of technology is that it's not 25 years ago where really this was pretty controlled and no one had it. Anyone can go online and order a patch that looks like this. So it is not quite as secure as it used to be. Again, you really have to rely on the placement and what styles you have, things like that. Still a good tool though, and very low tech. The next thing is probably one of the most popular tools that is, just Chemlights. They look like this. They come in these foil packs. So a note about Chemlights, right? They are an active tool that doesn't require batteries, right? It is a chemical reaction. So you're basically snapping this, you bend it. If you've never used one of these, there's a small vial in here. You're cracking open and there's a chemical reaction that starts. It's going to create light. So Chemlights are a great tool. Pretty much every military organization has been using them for the last, 30 or 40 years. They've gotten better with their duration and their color. A note about the packaging, you should actually be leaving these inside the packaging until they're ready for use. They do degrade over time, especially when they're outside of the package. We sell these on the website and we sell them in a kit, or you can buy them individually. I recommend having, replacing these. They're gonna have to roll them. There is an expiration date. They last a number of years, but you are gonna wanna roll them every once in a while. So don't buy too many. You wanna buy enough to where you have a stash, and then you wanna use them for training and then roll in new Chemlights. So your stash is always fresh, and then you're using the other stuff for training. As they degrade, they still work. So they're great for training. You can still pop them, they'll still work. But they're very, very dim. Over time, they will become unusable. They'll be so dim that they won't really even work. If you're trying to do something visually under IR, they may still work. We do sell different colors. Particularly, we have green, red, blue, and then IR in both sizes. And the colors, there's SOPs in military units and police organizations as well for what the colors mean. If you are a police officer, there is a national standard that the FBI, I believe, has established. So you should use that standard because it's going to be easier if there's interagency work. You should look that up and figure that out. But for everyone else, if you don't have a standard, create one, and it should be secretive. Again, what do the colors mean? It's up to you, right? A blue Chemlight could mean one thing, a green Chemlight could mean another thing. Switch it up so that no one ever knows what your Chemlights mean. In the Army, we used to do things like buzz saws, where we would essentially, attach a piece of cordage to a Chemlight, and then this enables you to basically spin this around and signal a very big, the way the Doppler effect works with light. So it'll look like a giant circle of red in the night, so you can signal to aircraft and things like that. Great tools. There's a lot of confusion about Chemlights on Instagram, social media in general. A lot of guys running around the range with 5 different colored Chemlights on the same bundle on their belt or something like that. They kind of get chastised and made fun of by the active duty dudes. So I'll clear that up for you too if you're wondering about why are those bundles there. Those bundles are used to mark things, right? Whatever that is. It could be a cleared space, it could be a casualty, it could be objective things. It doesn't matter, but generally they'll be of a similar color so that you can grab them at night without having to figure out which one is which. So no batteries, but there is a time duration. So once you crack it, you've started the time. It can be anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, depending on the model that you have and the color and all of those. All that information is on our website. So if you're interested in those, you can pick them up. Operationally, I use the real thing. So this is the Kyloom brand. These are like the original, this is the good stuff. I use these operationally. I use them in training too, personally. I would just say, if you're doing this professionally, buy the actual thing, the tool that is going to work and it's going to last the prescribed amount of time, and get the good stuff. Another note too, I guess I kind of forgot to say, they do have an IR one. These are non-exportable. So if you're buying them off our website and you're sending them somewhere, you're violating ITAR, don't do that. But you can buy these in the United States. So that's kind of our non-battery operated, active and passive. We have one notable mention that just doesn't really fit into the other categories very well. But I brought it up in a few videos and guys are always asking questions about it. But this is a small aviator's pen flare system from the Army. So it's just, basically a small, you can see these cartridges. I guess I can take this tie off it so you can see a little better. But it has these 2 cartridges here and then this tube, very simple. You basically cock it and then you do that, fires the flare out the end. Very simple to use. Some guys have mentioned this. It's kind of an old school signaling technique, but it's a flare. So you launch this into the sky. I mean, everyone in the area is going to see it. I used to keep one of these on me for more of like an escape and evasion thing. I would have a couple of these, but this is a great active signaling method. I mean, it's red. Everyone's going to see it. This is great though. I wish more junior leaders in the Army were issued these, because when we're doing big operations like a battalion size operation or a company breach or something like that, it's really good to have pop flares, but this is much more portable. You can carry a ton of flares for it, and this can tell guys to shift fire or to advance or retreat or whatever you want. Very good method to signal with. Works at night, obviously, like our theme is. So another good one. So the next one I'm gonna go into is kind of the man-worn, battery-powered, widgets that we have. And I'm gonna start with kind of the oldest, tried and true. You can find it at a surplus store. You can still buy them new. I'm pretty sure they still get issued in aviation kits, but this is the venerable MS-2000 strobe. It works great, honestly. It's been kind of a staple. The only downfall now is that it's big. It's big, and it's not meant to be mounted in the ways that we are using it. This was meant to be put inside of a pouch and worn on an aviator's kit, and then he would take it out and hold it or whatever, right? Every ground guy mounts it on his helmet, and then it's obviously straight. Your helmet is a curve. It doesn't work very well. So you have to put it in a pouch or something like that. But this is an active method. The thing I like about this is that it has an IR shield over it, but it's actually just a bright strobe light. And it has a blue filter as well. So you can really neck down if you want to be directional with this. You can point it straight at something, at people, and then it's a blue light. It's a little condensed. If it's really an emergency and you're on the side of a mountain or something, you can signal with that. And then obviously your IR cover prevents the white light from coming out, but you can still see it under night vision. It takes AA's, very robust. The batteries last a very long time in it. I've used this quite a bit in my military service. Notable mention, again, surplus stores, if you can find this for 20 bucks or something, this is a great buy. If they are charging full price and the hundreds of dollars, I would say you can get more bang for your buck with some other devices that we're gonna show. So in the same vein, right, something that I would recommend to replace that, there's a lot of strobes out there that go on helmets that were meant for helmets. And the Manta from S&S Precision was kind of the original game in town as far as like transforming this into something that you can wear on your helmet. And I like a lot of the other products out there. Notable mentions, Core Survival. I really, really like that strobe as well. I want to just point that out. It works, it's good. But one thing that always keeps me coming back to the Manta, it has a simple feature to make sure that, one, I know it's on. So when I click the button on it, you probably can't hear it on the camera, but it vibrates. That lets me know when it's on my helmet, right? It's up here. I click it, I know that my strobe is on, and then I also know because it always defaults into the covert mode. And that's very important to me because a lot of the other strobes on the market, when you turn it on, I'm not certain that it's going to be in the covert mode. And I know a lot of guys in the comments will probably be like, hey, you just got to know your strobe and you got to memorize the buttonology and all. And you're right. I mean, if you are using one of those strobes, you should absolutely do that. Just seeing guys, and the truth is, being in the military, there's a spectrum of individuals, right? I would just rather know that when I hand this to a junior guy and I show him how it works, that when he reaches up to turn it on, there's just really no chance that it's going to be in that overt mode. It could literally compromise an entire operation because of one misuse of a bright strobe, right? So yeah, that's why this is our preferred strobe and this is the one that we sell. So again, my favorite. Also the size of this is very, very small. Contours well with the helmet. Definitely a classic and still going strong after all this time. So preferred strobe there. Some notable mentions too, I think was kind of cool. this is the old V-Light, and these were, all the rage when they came out. They're flexible. Again, it's another active light method. It's not a strobe, but it just basically, you click it on. This one's old, it doesn't work anymore, but it was very flexible, contoured to the helmet, very low profile. These were great for if you needed a color or an IR, just constant or strobing. They were great, but the complaint was always that you can't switch the battery. It was meant to be a consumable. But for like your civilian guy, he's like, or even Joe, right? He doesn't have a lot of money. He buys a V-Light, and it was a pain for him to switch it out. We currently sell a product that you can't change the battery in, which is the Unity Spark, which I really like these a lot as well. These are great. You just, simple button push. We sell them in red, green, and infrared, but they're very simple to use. And that's why I like them. Again, I don't like a lot of complicated stuff on if I just want to light. Mainly, I use these for the range, right? Or if I need to if you need to outfit guys with a strobe and you don't have a very good budget, this is a great strobe for that, or a great light for that. But this is great it's a different shape. So when I reach up on my helmet, if I'm at a range or something and I just want that safety factor, like, hey, everybody's gonna be wearing a red light, those are all the range cadre. You just click up, or reach up, click it, and then now you have a red light on, and it's super easy to use. So kind of, in response to the V-Light drama, S&S Precision came out with the Mark SB, which I think is a great new product from them. And it's kind of a hybrid between the V-Light and the Manta. The reason why I really like it is, unlike everything else, this product family functions the same way. So this is the military model. They have an adventure model as well. We only sell this one, but I like it because you kind of get both worlds in a little bit of a cheaper and smaller form factor, but it kind of functions the same way. So you push the on button, it vibrates just like the Manta. Push it again, it vibrates 3 times, and then you have to hold it to get into the overt modes as well. So it is not as bright as the Manta. That's the first thing that I've noticed about it when we first started testing them, but it works really well. And you can see there it has a flash mode as well. So very good product. Always defaults back into covert, which I think is great. So I really like these. With all the S&S products, they come with a way to mount them to MOLLE as well. So if you're not wearing a helmet, if you're doing dive operations and you're not wearing a helmet, you still need it. So the Manta would come with, this little chassis that you put them in, and then you can mount them to webbing or wherever you want. This guy has a clip that you can remove. There's 2 little screws in it you can remove, and then it'll look like this, and it just has like a Velcro back on it, which super easy to use, super legit. The next thing I wanted to showcase was the battery-powered Chemlight. So same vein as the Chemlight, does a similar function. Also does a function similar to some of the active battery-powered stuff that we have. For a size comparison, I'll hold up. It is quite a bit chonkier than the chemical Kyolum Chemlight. Why do I like this? Well, we started getting issued these in the Army, and it was kind of a joke because we would tell people to go find battery-operated Chemlights all the time. And finally one day, Joe came back with this, and the joke was over. It had happened. We had a battery-operated Chemlight. But what I like about these is that when I'm doing a buzzsaw or something, I can turn it on. It's a simple twist. This one is a constant only model, so it only does on or off, but they do have models that flash and that get brighter and stuff like that. There's an IR side on this one and a red side. You can get them in all sorts of different configurations. These heads basically come off, right? Which I think is cool. It's a very modular system. You actually, when you purchase it, you get some other accessories I'll show you over here, but because it's like a Chemlight, I can use it as a buzzsaw. I can spin it, but when I don't want it anymore, I can just turn it off and I don't have the light, whereas when I crack this, it's on, right? Until it runs out of that chemical reaction, it's on, it's gonna be glowing. This one I can turn on, I can use it multiple times. The batteries, it takes CR 2032s, which are those coin watch batteries, which is kind of a pain, but you can get a big foil pack of them and just have a ton. The batteries last quite long in my experience, but I love that it is modular, because I can do things like add, this little guy on the end, You can stand them up somewhere. If you're doing LZ ops or something like that, you can really just stand these and just kind of have them put out there. They come with the ring attachment. You know, this one's a little red guy. It's even smaller. So again, you could buzz saw with this very easily. Very small package. But the ability to have, you know, an IR and a green or an IR and a red or whatever is very cool too. I did mark these with electrical tape when I was using them in the Army, so I knew which side was which in the dark, so I didn't ND them. But this cover is actually something that I wanted to showcase on the video because it's actually really cool that you can use this in a directional manner, right? So if you look at, you know, I have this cover and then obviously the light is only going in one way. And there's two ways that I would use this. One, you could use it if I want to, again, directionally signal somebody else, but I can also occlude it to where it's almost nothing. And in night vision, you would be able to see that pretty well still, but you know, in your daytime, normal, you know, unaided vision, you wouldn't be able to see it. But this is also great for, the form factor really lends itself to reading a map at night up close, right? So, you know, you take your red lens or whatever, and you can literally use that to kind of scroll a map and look at it. Very, very minimal light. And if you need more, you can just open it up all the way. So all these accessories, you know, they come with the kit. We don't sell these yet, but maybe in the future we're going to carry them. Again, those are Laser Bright. That's the brand, so laserbright.com if you want to look into getting some. We obviously did not touch every single type of light or widget that you could have. I really kind of wanted to just give you guys an example and just, you know, mentally you can start thinking about, you know, what am I going to use the signal? What tools do I have? Maybe what do I need? There's some ideas in here, but kind of thinking about really the important side is the tactics side. So developing your own TTPs for signaling and not relying on something that you learned in the unit that you were in before, because that stuff is probably compromised and has been used before and everybody else is using it. You really should think of developing your own, using your own color palette, and then really consider rolling those ideas every so often, you know, changing the way that you're marking things, changing the colors you're using so that you don't become complacent in your tactics and then people can identify them and use those against you then, right? Classic GWAT story time where guys were basically using a certain tactic and the enemy picked up on it and then they would signal back using the same methodology. So you would think that that was a friendly force. They would use that to either ambush you or bait you into coming into an area that you didn't want to be in. So we just want to, you know, kind of equip you with some tools and ideas. As always, we appreciate you guys watching, keeping up with the channel. Your comments are much appreciated. Well, most of your comments are much appreciated. A lot of positive feedback. We get a lot of ideas for videos. Leave your ideas in the comments. Tell us what you think. What did we miss? I'm actually very curious to hear what guys have done signaling wise at night, because these are just tools I've used. I'm sure there's some really innovative stuff out there that I have never seen in my life. So comment below, like and subscribe as always. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.